Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Nick Delgado with the Guam Daily Post, bringing you another round of your new digital election show, The Race is On. We are coming to you from the Dusitani Guam Resort in Tumon, and we got another great show for you tonight. Tonight, we speak with more of your candidates in the running to be your next senator in the 36th Guam Legislature. And a quick safety note, each show, our candidates and crew do show up with their mask on, and we each get in position practicing social distancing to keep everyone safe. Now let's get to tonight's group. Starting on the left side of the panel, we have incumbent Senator Kelly Marsh Taitano, newcomer Borja, and former Senator Joanne Brown. Hafa everyone. All right, now to show you how this is all going to go, we bring you to the starting line.
First, our team of journalists are speaking with voters across the island. Voters will ask a question, then candidates, you get 60 seconds to answer the question. When the clock runs out, time's up. Give the next candidate a shot, or let's get on to the next question. Ready, set, let's race.
All right, candidates, you got that? All right, let's begin. Let's toss it over to our Oya Nirarikle in Jigo with your first question and our first voter. Oya?
Hi, Nick. Thank you. I'm here with Nita Lee of Dedido, and her question today is...
I was just wondering, how would you help our airline industry come back? Yeah.
Thanks. Back to you, Nick.
Thanks, Oya. And we'll begin with our responses first with Senator Kelly.
If you could kindly repeat that. When we wear our masks, sometimes it's a little muffled.
So, how would you help our airline industry make a comeback?
Well, the airline industries are getting federal relief, and what we can be doing is part of what GVB has been doing already, is making sure we're as safe as possible, that we're offering those reassurances to people as much as possible. So really it's about getting that business back, getting visitors here, being able to have the business come back here. We've got those protocols that are getting into place at the airport. So we really just need to be doing our homework and our groundwork and making people feel reassured and safe.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Borja.
So just to echo off that, I mean, again, yes, safety is going to be number one, because in order for tourists to want to come to book the airlines, book the tickets, they're going to need to feel safe. But we need to start here first. We need to ensure that our businesses are educated and prepared and safe and able to at least accommodate the local economy before we even start looking at bringing in visitors. So safety, and then working on rebuilding our economy, because without the economy and the jobs, we're not going to be able to serve the tourists that come in. Thank you.
Thank you for your response. And Senator Brown.
Thank you very much. I think all of us certainly have been adversely affected by this pandemic, and I think we're seeing how quickly, as a result of what has happened, you know, our tourism industry and certainly all the volume of people that our airlines brought into the island has been so adversely affected. And, you know, we're reminded that there are people that work there that run these industries and have been there to serve us. But I think we have to make sure we're a safe destination. I think it's one of the first things everyone's going to be looking at, to make Guam safe for our people first. And then make sure we have the protocols in place to ensure that people coming into the island are safe and they're not going to be spreading anything. And then also our people, our local population is safe. And I think once those things start happening, and I'm always hopeful every day praying they're going to develop this vaccine, because I think ultimately that's what's going to be needed to give people that reassurance that they need to get on a plane or get their family on a plane. I think everyone is anxious and wanting to travel again. But more importantly, I think everyone's going to want to make sure that they're safe in travel. And I think once those key issues can be addressed, including for us as a tourism industry, then I think we'll get people flying again.
All right, thank you all so much for your responses. Now, let's get out to our Heidi Eugenio Gilbert, who's in Barrigado, with our next voter.
Hi, we're here with Miss Viola Akfaji, and she has a question for our candidates. What's your question, ma'am?
I would ask every candidate if they are living, breathing, pro-life candidates. I would ask them. That would be very important to me. Just because it's a basic human equality. Babies have to be born, and that's my take. Okay.
Thank you so much. There you go, Nick.
Thanks, Heidi. All candidates, now time to take your second lap. You heard the question there from the field and from our voter. We'll start with Mr. Borja.
Just to clarify that she's asking if we're pro-life or pro-choice, correct?
Correct.
I'm pro-life.
And why?
I think every life is valuable and precious, and that that's not it's the choice. It's not the child should be given a choice.
Thank you. Senator Brown.
Thank you. I'm pro-life also, but I think it's important that we also expand our programs to help women and families in the community that may be challenged of an unexpected pregnancy, for example, or not have the support that they need within their family to bring a child into the world. So I think it's important that we need to develop that and have those outreach programs available so that there are options for women and men also that are fathers in this community with regards to babies coming into the world. I don't think we do enough of that. Simply yes or no to me is not the easy answer, but I think we need to have more support programs for people in our community to help them through for some, it may be a very challenging thing. I don't think it should be one that's judgmental, but I think we should see what we can do to expand our assistance to them.
Thank you. Senator Marsh.
So with this, some of my approach has been that we need to have support programs, as was mentioned. We have really high young teenage pregnancy rates and so forth. And so that really indicates that we need to get to the root of the problem and work at prevention first and foremost, I would say, or as a really important measure. This becomes a bit personal for me when we start talking about these sort of issues because I was sexually assaulted or abused when I was younger, and so I agree that it's not as simple as people might think, because there are just these extenuating factors when you have really young people that are abused or you have health issues on the line, and so I think we need to keep that in mind.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that. And candidates, thank you all so much for your responses. Well, you know what time it is. Time to make a quick pit stop. But first, we wanted to show our viewers a different side of our candidates, one you will likely only ever catch right here on The Race is On.
Chills that you feel on my back. Give you feel the satisfaction when we're done. Satisfaction of what's to come. I couldn't ask for another. No, I couldn't ask for another. With your groove, I can even dig no walls on the bridge. Some dish, my second hand wish. I couldn't ask for another. In the heart, groove is in the heart, groove is in the heart. Yes, a cool groove moves us to the end groove. We're going through.
Welcome back. Well, now we are at the turning point. To take us to the final leg, our candidates will respond to questions put together by your news team. It's the part of the show where the candidates are under pressure to get their responses out there. And again, candidates, you each get 60 seconds to give your responses. And we'll start with Senator Brown with our first question. Do you think the budget the administration proposed for 2021, still close to $1 billion, reflects the reality of the tourism's downturn?
No, I don't. I mean, it's been a number of years since I've been in the Guam legislature, but even during the best of times, when payroll's been made in the government of Guam, sometimes there have been just a few $1,000s left in the bank account. So I don't believe we can have this significant an impact and downturn in our economy and certainly have our biggest private economic sector pretty much come to a standstill and then still expect that we're going to get close to $1 billion in revenue. Either, I understand there's federal money coming in, but when you have 34,000 people unemployed and you don't have that revenue stream coming in, it's only a matter of time, be it this month, 3 months from now, 5 months from now. The government of Guam is definitely going to feel the repercussions with regards to revenue. And so I think we need to be a lot more conservative in how we're approaching this, and we need to seriously start looking at how we can reduce government spending and be more in touch with the reality of many, many of our people out there that have been unemployed and have been suffering for many months.
Thank you. Senator Marsh, your response?
Well, today is day one of our budget session, so we were just going over this very thing. Now, the situation is that they did not update their budget, so it still stands at $1 billion, and where we're at through OFB is more around $775 million. And even that, you know, as I started going through line items, I think that some of that is very optimistic, and we can only do better by being conservative. And what I've done for my agencies is I've really encouraged them for partnerships, acting as a one Gov Guam to help each other out and to look for that federal funding to fund those programs. We can do the operations perhaps, but they need to get real creative and get public-private partnerships, and other means of working within the community and working within each other.
Thank you for your response. And Mr. Borja?
So I've been following a lot of the budget hearings, and I don't, I'll share with my colleague here. I share the same sentiment that I don't think it's realistic that we're gonna bring in the revenues that they're saying. I know a lot of small businesses that are struggling to stay in business. I know a lot of small businesses who have shut down or are going, or have a closing date. So like we've all shared today, we definitely need to look at ways to start streamlining and be a little bit more conservative, because we're not expecting the tourism to come back for a couple of years, which just means it's only going to get worse. And relying on the federal dollars, it's only going to last so long. It's going to go into the economy and go back out, and that's it. And it's definitely not going to get any better.
Okay. Thank you all so much for your responses. Next question's a bit of a two-parter here, and we'll start with Senator Marsh for this question. What should GovGuam do to prepare for reduced revenues because of the COVID pandemic? And do you support furloughs of non-essential employees?
Well, I kind of answered some of that already, but I can repeat some of it, that I have encouraged all of my agencies personally and through memos that they need to be really creative. They need to figure out how they're going to work together, how they're going to network, they're going to partner, they're going to build on those relationships, and they're going to work with the community, private partners, federal funding, all of it. The second part of your question was... Do
you support furloughs of non-essential employees?
I'm still weighing that out. We really need to think of this in a complex way. The businesses are hurting and they need customers. People who are fully employed are going to be those customers. If we start reducing hours and furloughing people, they aren't going to be spending at the stores and the restaurants. They're not going to be taking out. So that needs to be weighed out carefully. Are we going to keep the money circulating? We're going to be customers. Those businesses are going to be paying taxes, and the government's going to be paid.
All right, thanks for your response. Mr. Borja?
Can you repeat that two-part question?
What should GovGuam do to prepare for reduced revenues because of the COVID pandemic? And do you support furloughs of non-essential employees?
I think I answered the question again earlier, but yes, I think they definitely need to, or not I think, I know they definitely need to start looking at reducing cost and start, again, streamlining. I think automation is obviously something that we need to look into and see how we can move a lot of the manual tasks that requires or that human is performed by humans today, and move over to digital automation. Do I think we need to start furloughing or laying off people? Again, we need to look at the overall operations of the government and look at, when I think about furloughing and layoff, it's just, not to compare it to a business, but at the end of the day, you start from the top and you start streamlining down, and I think that's where they need to start looking.
Thank you. Senator Brown, your response?
Well, that's a big challenge, and it's definitely one of the first things that need to happen. It's happened before in government, where we've had to look at how can we reduce expenditures. Every department comes before you, and always every year they expect more revenue. Well, now that's time to be a little more creative in operating your department, is how do you operate with less? And that's something I would ask each department, where can you cut costs? Ultimately, no one wants to furlough anyone. There are many other ways we can go about it, but certainly if we get to the point that we have reduced revenues, you're going to get in a situation where you're not able to make payroll. And I think we need to make responsible decisions. We need to look at everything leading up to it as something that should have started months ago. Because I think in the next few months, I think our public employees may start feeling the impact of reduced revenues. And we need to focus on that. How can we be responsible with that? And worst case scenario, if you have to reduce, if you have to cut, it's either that or you don't make payroll. So I think we need to make responsible decisions first.
All right. Thank you all so much for your responses. Now for our next question, we're going to start with Mr. Borja. What should GovGuam do to prepare, we did that one. For the next question, we'll go with Mr. Borja. What one issue will take your top priority in your first 100 days?
I think what's important for me, when I got out of the Army in 2011 and I moved back home, the transition from combat service to the island life was something that was a struggle. And I think that, when we talk about veterans committing suicide every day, or 22 suicides a day, I think of me coming back and trying to connect and transition. And I lived in Los Angeles, I lived in Oklahoma, I lived in Texas, and with the transition from there is pretty easy. I can call one person, call an office, and there's somebody that's there to help. So I think that we need to bridge that gap on how we treat our veterans when they come home from combat service. So I think for me that's important. I think bridging that gap and getting veterans connected, getting them the help they need, and getting them to the people that can help them is going to be important to me.
Right. Thank you. Senator Brown? What one issue will take your top priority in your first 100 days?
Well, I know we talked about reducing government spending, so that's certainly on my list. But the other thing that's really concerned me, one of the things that's really motivated me after all these years to run for office again, is I'm really concerned about the corruption in the government of Guam. A lot of people don't want to challenge that issue because it's very uncomfortable. But I see a lot of abuse, and I don't think that's acceptable. I don't think you can build a responsible government and a government that's going to be responsive to our people when we mismanage and misspend the resources of the public. So that's definitely going to be one of my top priorities. In addition to that, I don't see enough check and balance in the legislature now, especially when you see things going on. You see hiring left and right and shuffleboarding going on in the administration. Monies are being paid out without ensuring they go through the legal process, and nobody is saying or speaking out about these issues. There is a need for accountability. Everyone talks about transparency and how important that is. But the actual practice of it, the actual looking into these issues and following up and investigating them, I do expect to be attacked on these issues, but it's not going to detour me because I know that we need to do better than what we're doing now.
Thank you. Senator Marsh, I repeat the question. What one issue will take your top priority in your first 100 days?
Well, I've already started making a shift. And so while we still have to care about all of the issues, we have to really look at our economy. And so for me, that has to be the top priority. I'm looking at ways that we can bring in new industries, ways that we can be expanding into the region economically and be economic partners and working together, ways that we can be building on our old industries and expanding them. Even tourism, there are ways that we can be expanding that. Then I'm especially looking at ways of expanding our zero waste types of industries at the micro level, at the recycling level, at the small business level, ones that are going to be showcasing what we have, building on what we have, and not adding to our landfill at the same time, but actually saving us money and other things like that. That makes us less dependent on the outside, which we need to do.
All right. Thank you, candidates, so much for your responses. This last question, before we take another quick break, just a yes or no. It's our lightning round question. And we will start with Senator Brown. Part-time legislature, do you support it?
I would say yes, but the people have to vote on it.
Okay. Senator Marsh, your response?
Well, when we're asking for more accountability,
Yes or no?
it would be no, because we need them in there for the oversight.
Thank
We
you.
need as much accountability as possible.
All right. Mr. Borja, yes or no? Part-time legislature?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, candidates, great job and great job with this second round. We are getting ready to sprint to the finish. Your candidates will get one more shot to tell you why you, when we return. This is The Race is On.
Up at the end of the line. All alone. Alright, do this again. I'm just a nobody, trying to tell everybody all about somebody who saved my soul. Ever since you rescued me, gave my heart a song to sing. Living for the world to see, nobody but Jesus. Living for the world to see, nobody but Jesus. Moses had a stage fright, and David brought a rock to a sword fight. You picked 12 outsiders nobody would have chosen. The moral of the story is, everybody's got a purpose. So when I hear that, start talking to me, saying, who do you think you are? I'm just a nobody, trying to tell everybody all about somebody who saved my soul. Ever since you rescued me, gave my heart a song to sing. Living for the world to see, nobody but Jesus. Living for the world to see, nobody but Jesus. Let me go down, down in history. Another blood-bought, faithful member of the family.
Would you know my name if I saw you in heaven? Would it be the same if I saw you in heaven? I must be strong and carry on, 'cause I know I don't belong here in heaven. Would you hold my hand if I saw you in heaven? Would you help me stand if I saw you in heaven?
Welcome back. Well, now that we took that quick break, candidates, it's your time to get us to the finish line. Again, you get 1 minute to tell the voters out there why you. And we'll start with Senator Marsh.
Lucky one several times. So I say that our legislature needs diversity. We have some senators that are attorneys, and we have other senators from all kinds of walks of life. I am a social scientist. This means that I know how to look at the root of the problem, look at the complexities of the problem, and look at the history of the problem to develop long-term solutions. And those are exactly the kind of solutions that we need. I've already talked about needing to shift the focus. I stand for the vulnerable, the community, the culture, the environment, but we can also need to shift to the economy and to support those, but get the economy so where we're more sustainable, we're working towards zero waste, and we're doing those things for the community, the culture, and the environment through the types of businesses that we're setting up. So there's a lot of potential there.
All right. Thank you for your response. Mr. Borja.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you to the Guam Daily Post for hosting this. In closing, to the 30,000 plus employees who have been furloughed or laid off, I hear you and I want to serve you. For the veteran transitioning from the combat zone to the island life, I hear you and I want to serve you. To the small businesses struggling to stay afloat, I hear you and I want to serve you. For the people of Guam demanding for transparency and trust in our government and our leaders, I hear you and I want to serve you. My name is Vincent Borja. I'm number 9 on the ballot. I humbly ask for your support and vote in the upcoming election. Thank you.
Thank you. And Senator Brown.
Thank you very much, Nick. I want to see a better, transparent, and more accountable government that's free of corruption. That's one of the main reasons that I've come back after all these years to run again for the Guam legislature. I don't think we can address all the other issues until we address that. But more importantly, I think we need to have a legislature that's going to be accountable, a legislature that's going to have checks and balance, a legislature that's going to be willing to ask the questions that need to be asked and not shy away from that. And I certainly do. I understand how people are frustrated. You hear the same thing election after election, year after year. Maybe you have different candidates, different names, different faces. But then they feel that the government is still removed from them and it's the same old story. If you really want to change in this upcoming election, I hope you vote for me, but I also hope you vote for new leadership direction and vote for the new Republican candidates that are running. I don't think you're going to see a change unless you change the leadership that's there. And there's a lot of people that are dissatisfied. I'm dissatisfied. That's why I'm running, and I hope you will consider me. I'm number 8 on the Republican side of the ballot.
All right, candidates, thank you all so much for your responses. And just a quick note, we did have candidate and newcomer Franklin Meno scheduled for tonight. He unfortunately could not make it this evening. But with that, we thank you so much for joining us for another round of the Guam Daily Post's new digital election show, The Race is On. Catch the show every Monday and Wednesday right here as we speak with more candidates. And pick up a copy of the Guam Daily Post to find out all you need to know before hitting the polls this August 29th. Stay safe, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. This is The Race is On.